बस लाल रंग इथे लाल रंगाचा लाल रंगाचा लाल होता टेनवर होतो पण आवाज येतो का
तर स्टार्ट करायची का मीटिंग
यस सर इंग्लिश सर
हाँ सर आलोक है सर
हो येतोय
हाँ चला सर सर
Good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon to you all. On behalf of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University, Faculty of Pharmacy, Lonere, I extend warm wishes to today's esteemed speaker and all attendees on occasion of World Pharmacist Day. This year's theme is Transforming Global Health. The current pandemic has hit the entire world and global health has become point of concern. Health is also having a deep impact on livelihood and economy of everyone. This pandemic in turn suggests united efforts of pharmacists across the globe to ensure safety of all. It feels proud to share that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Technological University Faculty of Pharmacy Lonere has organized series of webinars and faculty development program for pharmacy teachers all over India. This series of webinars is an attempt to exchange an ideas and provide common platform to achieve the goal that is good health for all. It's my great pleasure and proud privilege to hosting today's webinar. The basic motto of this webinar series is to bring multi-talented pharma professional on a single platform. Now I request Dr. Baravkar sir to introduce very talented, renowned and dynamic personality, today's speaker, Dr. Chandrasekhar Yaskadam. Thanks.
Thank you, Janme sir. Good afternoon, one and all. I am very much thankful to all the dignitaries of DBA2 for giving me such a nice opportunity to work in EFDP. And it's my great pleasure to introduce today's eminent dynamic personality, Dr. C.S. Kadam sir. In one sentence biodata, we can say he is mastermind of formulation and development. Dr. Kadam is having 23 years of experience with a track record from dealing products selection and development till market launch. He has dexterous experience in research, development, scale up, transfer of products like injections, ophthalmics, inhalation, and complex drug delivery system, which includes liposome, particulate microsphere, emulsion, suspension, micelle formulation, nanotechnology based formulation, and sol gel system. In addition to this, he is well versed with QBD, PAT tools, SDP, LDM, along with being certified as Six Sigma Green Belt holder. He had developed technology transfer products in-house R&D, and by collaborating with global partners, he has effectively implemented GTP, that is go-to plant process, to ensure smooth new product execution. He has worked on oncology, non-oncology, peptides, hormone, lyophilized ophthalmic solutions, suspensions, liquid vial ampoules, cartridge injection, etc. He also worked on technologies like spray drying, nudge filter drying, PSL, milling, active freeze drying, etc. He works to support for setting up of oncology molecules manufacturing facilities at international sites. He participated in various training on topics related to product development, GMP management, quality and safety, Six Sigma Green Belt, and NHLP certification holder. He is a part of 16 patents, applications, and 11 national and international papers, publications in various refereed journals. Currently, he is working as a head specialty formulations, Alembic Research, Hyderabad. Thank you. I would like to hand over mic to the Dr. Jangme sir.
I request Dr. Chandrasekhar Kadam sir to please start the session.
First of all, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So first of all, thank you. Thanks for giving opportunity to say some words, as well as thanks to Baba Saheb Ambedkar Technical University to call me as a speaker and talk something on the like it's very close to my heart to talk the novel drug delivery system. So without taking much time, I will start the presentation. So can you give me the access so I can share some of the slides?
So you can share your screen, sir. You are co-host.
So you can start sharing, sir.
Okay. I believe you guys are able to see my screen, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So as discussed, so this is the topic, something like the novel drug delivery system, and which is very interesting at this moment, and that is need for the at this moment for the current pharmaceutical industry also. Like as everybody is aware, the most of Indian pharmaceutical industry, they work on the basis of the especially on the thought process of working on the generic drug. Because overall, if you see the market in terms of a business potential for the market of a generic drug, that is somewhere around 115.3 billion market overall. So that is in terms of a generic drug. But how long that we will be able to sustain, how we can capitalize the market potential which is there into the US. I'm only talking about the US generic market. So you can cumulatively add the European market as well as the domestic, Indian, Russian, or all the geographies all over the world. But however, saying that, because at this moment the key focus area of Indian pharmaceutical industry to capitalize or to to grab the opportunities which are there, like as a huge potential is there, 115.2 to 3 billion. That's a huge number, huge number. Itself as a company like us, we are at the stage of 1 billion. Or some of the top Indian companies like as a Dr. Reddy's, even though Cipla, all these companies, they are at the level of hardly 4 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion. So you can imagine how much is the potential. And that's why all the time we are talking about, to capitalize the opportunity. And that is the one thing. Because in the era of typically from the 2005, there was a ample of opportunity, and as a industry, Indian pharmaceutical industry, everybody started working into the generic market, which we called as ANDA. But see, like as like everybody is aware, and it's like the success illusion. So as a country, we could able to get so many opportunities, and most of the drug, or I would say, after China, we are the number two. We are the number two. So most of the prescription out of 5 prescription that will be from like as any Indian pharmaceutical company. This is the something background I thought of to give all friends on the occasion of Pharmacist Day, because this is something the day where we should talk about how the emerging trends and where we are going, and are we ready to take the challenges what in front of us. So basically, to go with there are the different types of the drug delivery system. One is the conventional drug delivery system. The most of the company, they are working on the conventional type of model. So it is the kind of a set, and the knowledge has been so far gained in the industry over the period of time, working into the development aspect, or maybe in terms of the execution or commercial. But what in future, how we will able to sustain? Because as I mentioned, like success is elusive. Success is elusive wherever we are talking about, like the maintain the growth, or it should be a sigmoid curve, isn't it? So sometime like it will be that curve will go up, But there will be again, there will be degradation. There will be like once we will achieve at a plateau, then there will be a erosion into the any sort of a business, erosion into the like the technology, erosion into the like the opportunities that happen. So to gearing ourselves and to be there into the market as a potential leader, it's not just like for the survival, but it's kind of a leadership wherever because entire world is looking towards the India as one of the country who can lead, who can guide, in the various aspects of the technology as well as the when it comes at the stage of like typically talking about the science. So these are the two different types of the drug delivery system where we call it a conventional, that is typically that goes into the same the dosage form, that is from the basically there are the only three ways to look at. So one is the swallowing of the medicine, other is the like as a inhalation or maybe like as a respiratory, and third one is the injectable. So that is below the skin, either that is could be injectable or that could be in the patches or anything. So whole that will get covered because this is the very broader way as I have given the just like as a balcony view of how the drug delivery system is. So this typically the novel drug delivery, that is the methodology. So like is something other than the conventional, something other. So what does that mean? Something other. So it could be anything. It could be anything because that could be the change into the route of synthesis. That could be change into the like as the route of administration. That could be change into the like as the way we produce. That could be change into the like as the indication. So many there are multiple means. So therefore, I say there will be ample of opportunity. So I just talk about this like as a conventional drug delivery. So I will not go through the slides typically. And if somebody is having, if I am going too fast, so I would not mind if somebody in between actually stops me. That should be. So when we are saying about the conventional, that will be like as I mentioned, that either that could be oral, parenteral, topical, or mucosal, or inhalation. So mainly three way, which I put it like that could be swallowing, that could be inhalation or inhalating, or that could be any kind of injectable drug delivery system. As we are aware, the entire world is going towards now. If you see, I don't know the what are the audience, but I believe many of from the academics, those who are into the like either these are the those are into the academics as well as those are into the like are doing the PhD or doing some sort of a research work. So for them, like it will be a good kind of info, and they will be also aligned with the thought what I'm saying right now. Because the many of the drug delivery right now, if you see the trend that is going towards the peptide, everybody talks about the peptide drug delivery. Everybody talks about the antigen antibody. Everybody talks about the vaccine. So these are the ample of opportunity which are coming, and the interesting part is that these are like these are not the stable in terms of like when that gets absorbed. As any drug delivery system, so this is also novel drug delivery system that will be also work on the basis of the safety, efficacy, and quality. Because ultimately the end goal is we have to commercialize. It's not only for the sake of only data generation or paper publication. It's something like it needs to get executed, because this process is somewhere is good, but however at the same time that needs to be get executed, and that needs to be reached to the patient. So these are the some examples which I have shown into the presentation. Typically kind of insulin pain, because in diabetology, because that is the most of the population, maximum population nowadays, they are suffering from the diabetes, and this is the ability or maybe the potential in terms of a novel drug delivery. So typically, if you see the first medicine fumarate and like the rhinosinusitis, so many things are there. Earlier days, I still remember there were the like as for the migraine, there used to come as a sumatriptan, which was the huge potential product into the market, and that was the injectable drug delivery. So whoever is suffering from the migraine, he is getting severe headache. So here he will find the injectable where we will go. There's some people, they scared to take the injections. But now, over the period of time, as a part of a novel drug delivery, people have developed the product in such a way. So once you spray that, that will go into the reaches to the brain, and that the pain, the patient can be get relieved from the pain. So these are the some innovations which has happened over the period of time. So NDDS, that refers to the some of the approaches, typically in terms of the formulation, that could be the technology, that could be drug delivery system, anything. So it's not limited. So NDDS is not limited. So huge potential and huge scope. Only the thing is that somebody has to be keen and somebody has to be passionate about where you would like to work. Let's take the approaches. I will go one by one, like it's only one single example, like it's approaches. What are the approaches? How we are going to approach? Typically the kind of any. So nowadays everybody is talking about COVID. Okay, there are multiple methodologies to treat that. So either that could be in the way of topical way, can be with the help of the aerosolization, or maybe with the aerosols, or people are working. So more than 200 companies, because we keep on getting a lot of data who are in the time of phase 1, phase 2. So many people are, there are different approaches. Somebody is working on the corticosteroid. Some people, they are working on the anticoagulation, because the thrombosis is one of the major reasons for the getting severity into this kind of a patient. So what sort of approach? So that's actually, as an example, I am taking that. So what kind of approach you would like to take? And going to the formulations, what sort of a formulation? The classical example, targeted drug delivery. In oncology, the same segment of oncology, you will find a lot of medicines are available. But like their interesting part is the most of the medicine that is as a part of the chemotherapy, that itself has its own limitations. So how to eliminate that limitation? The patient who is under the medication has already he is compromised. He is immunocompromised. So there will be like adjuvant therapies which are going to be there. So some side effects whether can be eliminated. So typically the targeted drug delivery system of the various industry. At this moment, there are the very little product. I would say there are some products like in the case of antibacterial, that is amphotericin. But these are the pegylated one, or doxorubicin in case of the typically we are talking about the oncology. So these are the pegylated. So these are comes under the passive drug delivery system. So there are, because already the drugs are known for their safety as well as efficacy. Because a lot of work has been done, the medicines are available into the market. So at the same time, is there opportunity the way where we can reduce the number of side effects, or maybe the can we reduce the dose itself, so that patient, for the ease of compliance, basically that is a patient compliance. That is the one aspect. In terms of technologies, there are the as I have said, I am going a little detail on this slide with the example. So technologies in terms of what sort of a technology? Because interestingly, there are the many. If you go or if you see the area of a typically kind of ophthalmology. In ophthalmology, what happens? Because if you give the medicine, so most of the ophthalmology medicine that contains some sort of a preservative. So can we come up with some formulation without preservative, so that the patient will have the patient compliance will be there, and the patient will have less sort of irritation, because the intent is that giving the drug, not the other excipient, which could cause some sort of harm. So these are the certain advantages of NDDS that could decrease the dosing frequency. That could be, you could able to raise the drug concentration into the blood, gradual. Definitely that will be gradual, but that could help to the patient. even though sustained blood levels within the therapeutic window enhance the viability, sometimes the viability is the concern, and that can be enhanced with the help of, by approaching with the different methodologies. So achievement of the targeted drug delivery and targeted drug release, especially wherever you are using the cytotoxic or oncology products. Definitely reduce side effect, improve patient compliance, and unmet need. Many of the diseases are the certain in certain area, so it has still so far untouched wherever the unmet needs are there. So unmet needs, that could be anything that it is in terms of where the medicine is not available or wherever the compliance is the issue. So I would say in both way this could able to help. And why do we need the NDDS? Why the focus has to be there? Because there is a certain clinical advantage, and there is a possibility, there is a enhancement of the old formulation that can be modified, and along with the formulation which is already there, so you could able to save your time for working on the typically on the safety or efficacy part of it, and again. So comparatively, in terms of NTDS, that is lesser investment when as compared to like it's typically going with the typically new drug. To develop NTDS rather is easier, or rather is not easier, but like there will be understanding the knowledge which is already available. For to convince the regulatory agency, that will be much easier than like if you are going with the typically new drug, and right from identification of what are the safety concerns for it, how we are going to handle whether that is a potent, non-potent. A lot of now regulatory requirements are keep on coming. That in terms of handling of the drug, which category, category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. So that many of the things that will come in the picture. So maybe probably the facility consideration, how we could able to execute the development itself, like it's the area availability, that could be one of the concern for the new drug, because where the people, those who are getting exposed, because ultimately their safety is pretty important. So we need to know what are the like as the levels of the hazards which are from that typical material. So that is the concern in case of wherever we are talking about the new drug. But in case of this NTDS, that is the one of the benefits which is already there in the domain, where like as this from the data bank you can leverage that information, you can leverage that knowledge, and that can be utilized. So the speed, that is important, because ultimate our aim is the patient compliance and to meet the unmet need to reaching out to the patient. So this is something as information I have put this slide. So the approximately the expense which are coming for the like the typically for the development of new drug, that will be somewhere around 1.3 to 5.5 billion. That depends on what sort of a drug is. See, if you see the like the kind of expenses that is, so whether ultimately the companies, those who will be working on it, ultimately that the ROI, the return on investment also has to be there, and there is always probability of for the new drug. So in terms of some failures are also there typically for the new drug. Therefore, it will be always be the preference to like working on the no drug delivery systems. So these are the which even though we mentioned about the what are the modes of the NDDS, that could be targeted drug delivery system, controlled drug delivery system, or modulated drug system. So targeted, wherever we are talking about the to reduce the side effect as well as to give the ease to the patient. Instead of side effect, I would say adverse effect of the drug, especially in the like as a treatment of the oncology. The controlled drug delivery system, there, especially the areas like the antipsychotic drug. So maybe in the treatment of the schizophrenia, where it's for the patient compliance and the kind of a patient, those who are they are handling. So where there is the probability of missing a dose. So working with some kind of T4 formulation. That definitely that helps. Modulated drug delivery, so typically kind of example, it is Solvay or kind of a Solvay or something. Hello. Ananya, मैं बाद में call करता हूँ, एक थोड़ा meeting. Sorry. So some of the types of the NTDS, so that could be into the microparticulate drug delivery system, nanoparticulate, TTS, transdermal therapeutic system, or microemulsion or liposomal drug delivery system. So basically, many of these either that could be itself is the there is the certain advantages are there. So wherever the drugs the solubility is the concern, the like the microparticulate that will enhance the viability. Is some of the example which I mentioned at the slide that would be helpful with some of the indications, typically kind of schizophrenia or maybe where the patient needs the antibacterial agent. Nanoparticulate drug delivery system, so that could be in terms of nanoparticulates, maybe in terms of a liposomal drug delivery, or maybe in the form of a micellar drug delivery. So especially that helps with the treatment of kind of for the treatment of the patient in the oncology cancer patients. So that could help to minimize the the adverse effect as well as the pain to the patient. Nanoparticle, this comes under the kind of active drug target drug delivery system. So at this moment, many of this, so a lot of work is going on throughout the various universities or maybe into the industry in the form of NDAs. People are working with the various anti-cancer agent with the kind of drug gold nanoparticle. So patches, some of the example which I put it there for the patches. So that is permeation through the skin, or maybe in some of the infections where the with the higher molecular weight, so that a reduction into the dose, the frequency that can be minimized. Microemulsion, so there are the certain microemulsion which are pretty much where the concern of the solubilization, and these are pretty useful in the treatment of some, the key diseases. So something like as in the dry eye syndrome, the classical example is the cyclosporine. So which I mentioned here, that product itself is the 1 billion product. So many of the throughout the across the world, the dry eye syndrome is the one of the major focus area, and many of the population they are suffering from the dry eye syndrome. So where this kind of a drug, and this comes under the like it's a very microemulsion. Some of the other example which I did not mention here, but type 2 pregnant, that is also one of the very famous ophthalmic. That also comes like it's a microemulsion. A lot of work is also going on with this, typically this kind of products. Liposomal drug delivery system. So liposomes, wherever typically the most famous at this moment across industry, most of the companies they are working either on amphotericin or doxorubicin, especially as the antibacterial agent where the immunocompromised patients are there. So the fungal infection, to get the rid of the fungal infection, this amphotericin that plays a major role. And to reduce the toxicity, there are multiple normal injectable drug delivery. These are also available, but it has its own limitation to avoid the nephrotoxicity, like as a in the form of liposomal, where it will be into the like I said by lipid, so that will get minimized, and these are the regulated ones. In case of doxorubicin, doxorubicin also the pegylation, the principle of the pegylation that works. So these are the classical NTDs example, and which are available in market now successfully. In the form of a generic Indian companies, they could able to not to the doxorubicin. So there are certain concerns. So I told about these are the merits, these are the advantage or something for the NDDS. Now it's not like that. Yes, these are the so many things are there, so many interesting things are there. Then let's go and everybody let's start working on the NDDS. Isn't it? So, but there, what are the issues? Because there will be multiple issues also. So each material, like the NDDS concern, increased cost. So there are the NDDS challenges, which I could say, like some of these are the development, though I captured in one word. But the challenges are the development challenges, execution challenges, sourcing challenges, containment closure system challenges, and bioclinical studies and regulatory challenges. Having said that, so to go into the little elaboration or little detailing of this, so that we could see like as a the development in terms of a development that is a right from the beginning, because these are not the conventional. So the equipment selection, everything at the stage of a development, because right from the lab setup, it will be the need to have the different thought process, the different mindset of the people, the resources, those who are going to be work there. So like the major challenging area, the kind of equipment infrastructure which is available in the lab. Again, because for this, the methodology, as I said, that the methodology, because there will be approaches, you are different. There could be one is in, as an example, something is in some substance is in suspension form. So if you are looking to solubilize that, so that will be in some kind of a salt form. So for that purpose, we need to have the ability as well as the some of the equipment. So lead time. So it's not the wherever the cost is not concerned, but at the same time the getting of the on a time, all the equipment, everything, infrastructure, that is a key challenge. And the next two that would be execution, because ultimately whenever you are working on the some of the drug delivery system, ultimately you need to take that to the commercialization. Otherwise, there is no point in like it's just that will be only process and just only some sort of creating information and knowledge. But the real fun will be like it's as far as the because since my inclination is toward the more toward the any product development that I will be happy to see that product into the market because that is my baby. So which is doing well into the market, always I will be more than it. Because that's the kind of satisfaction each scientist will get. So there the execution challenge, because the to fulfill the regulatory requirement, to submit the product for the regulatory agencies, and to get the kind of clearance from the regulatory agency, regulatory approvals, and at a larger scale, when we are talking about the global development and say, taking this product for the global market, there are multiple challenges. So somewhere like the requirements of the each country, these are different. Somewhere the requirements of the kind of a methodology or the kind of safety, these are the different. The way the product is getting manufactured, that is also different. So these are the certain challenges because and like the only part is that how we can as a global development, how we can comply with all the requirement without impacting the quality of the product. Because here in this most of the cases the safety is already known. These are the known part. But like I said, the major part where we are working, that is on the efficacy of the product as well as the quality of the product. So how you will design your equipment, the facility, the capability. Because ultimately once the development from the lab, it happens, then it goes to the commercial scale. So in commercial scale, what sort of equipment that will be required? So and many of this product which are to be like as a in the domain of the steroid. And of course that whatever I'm handling and what I expose, I'm talking about that. So where the requirement of the facility itself, these are very tedious. So to have that facility, and nowadays the expectation from US FDA. So if you see the expectation, FDA also raised the bar. So to meet the requirement of US FDA or the international regulatory agencies, these are really these are the major challenges. So in terms of the equipment, their qualification, their handling, and making robust product, typically for the robustness of the product. So which is complying with all the requirement of QBD, Six Sigma, or wherever the PAT tool. And this product you cannot afford to use with the kind of conventional testing also, because the cost implications are very high. Wherever the yields are also less, and if you keep on testing a product as a part of an in process, then again uh, the kind of investment what we are doing and what we are going to get it. So this equation won't match. So typically we call it as the ROI, return on investment. Whatever we have invested is something over the period of time, not necessarily immediately, but over the period of time that needs to be get required. Then only companies or anybody can invest in some of the other areas to work on. Then definitely the challenges will be in terms of the sourcing. So sourcing, when I say about the sourcing, some of the like the excipient itself, these are the certain grades. Like when we talk about the liposome, so liposome, the lipids. So many of the case, like some of the lipids, these the vendors which are not in the support enough. So that is a challenge. Like as a polymers, they don't know, because to whom they are supplying. It's going for the pharmaceutical industry. The requirements are different. Typically for the many of the injectable drug delivery, that requirements are different. So to align that to meet these are the certain requirements, then these are the certain challenges which uh, anyone, the most of the people are facing. So yes, so but these are the something is like these are not the challenges which we cannot completely overrule, but like the efforts, the kind of efforts which needed, the kind of rigor. So the scientist or somebody has to put a lot of efforts in like establishing what sort of a material, what sort of like the specification for this kind of product, and getting the same support from the excipient manufacturer or from someone else. Then typically going to the container closure system. So many of the product, when I say about the novel drug, so it could be anything. It could be route of synthesis. It could be route of administration. It could be like how you dose it, how you could handle it, how you could store it. As long as that is compatible and that is stable as per the requirement of the ICH, if that product is stable. The lot of inventions are happening, and a lot of new things are coming in terms of the container closure system, because that is one of the area where now since the it has awareness has increased, so everybody wants to be like as ease, handling ease, or maybe the patient compliance is the most important thing. The people are working in that aspect. So where the container closure system, that will also plays a bigger role. In case of like as ophthalmology, the kind of dose, how much microliter which is going to be coming. So how accurately we can deliver. In terms of the nasal drug delivery system, how accurately it can reach to the targeted site. So these are the certain, and then how that will be the spray pattern. If it is like as the product which is in nature. So certain requirements, certain expectation from industry are also there from the like the USFDA. Typically the CEDAR, they will publish a lot of guidances. So we call it as the USFDA guidance as per the Central for Drug Evaluation and Research. They keep on publishing, and as per their requirement, to meet their requirements, because ultimately this product needs to be taken up to the finishing line. And once all this through, so typically from the development towards the, once you develop a product, you have right infrastructure, you have right stability of the product, and going to the execution where you have a facility, you have a people, competent people, you have a GMP requirement which are set to follow all the rules and regulations, the safety assessment, everything. You are getting a material that is from the sourcing, the container closure system quite robust enough, they are stable for the over the period of time. Then once you have all these, then typically once you get all these as a stable product, then definitely it becomes the more focus will be towards the efficacy, like as to prove the bio either some of the requirements that will be bio or some of the requirements that will be for the clinical studies. So working on the clinical or bio. And then final, if you overcome all these hurdles, so the most important that will be the regulatory challenges, because regulatory will have its own. Regulatory will have its own challenges. So the multiple that will be in terms of whatever the drug delivery system what we are working. So each whether it is in respect to that is, and there are certain like the product specific or the molecule specific guidances also FDA keep on publishing. FDA is also working with the various universities. They are coming with a lot of literature because ultimately it's a kind of a generation of a data, because it's something which is not there, but it's a kind of a first time. But it's a bridging. It's not something which is you are completely drug discovery into the area of a drug discovery, but it is something novel. So which is already existed, but the kind of a leveraging, kind of a utilization that you are doing in a very effective manner. So that's the whole attempt what we need to do it. And so therefore whatever the information which is available on that basis, and the industries as well as these some of the the universities, they are keep on working. So basis on that, like there will be a regulatory requirements which are coming. So as an example, there will be, if you come up with the one step, if you are working into the respiratory, rhinitis, and then going into some of the other areas, so for the soldier kind of concept, then typically the requirements will be different. Like if you are going with the some nasal gas study or what, they demonstrate that CFT, computational fluid dynamics. Over the period of time, FDA is also insisting of some of the modeling and simulation kind of aspect. So as an example, only in the presentation, just these are some slides where so most of the I spoke about some of the opportunities in the novel drug delivery, how that works, as well as how the focus of the pharmaceutical industry in this area, as well as what are the challenges currently which are facing, and what is the scope and what is the need of it, to summarize so far, whatever. So those who are like feeling sleepy, so definitely they could for just to summarize. So next part will be some of the the regulatory challenges, I would say, and this is the as a exemplary which I mentioned as a case study. So this is for the typically in the case of the microsphere product, where the biodegradable polymer, where it is going, and the FDA will have a certain the requirements like what is that. So they publish all the information. It's not something like rocket science. So only the thing is that you need to get that information. You need to fit whatever you generate the data that needs to be fit in that and submit the regulatory agency. So that most important is the challenges, and this is the challenge where the getting a QA clearance from the FDA. So FDA all the time, whenever I mean, that is the US FDA. Then some of the sections, these are the typically with the administrative, so CMC package that will, so many micro detailing will be there. So what kind of requirements are there? Because they will elaborate in one sentence. But to generate that data, it will take a while. It will be some months, it could be sometimes it could take some years as well. So most part the development, that is the CMC part, like to prove the stability of the product, how you are to the formulation, how that is compatible, what drug device which you are selecting, the 3 to be typically kind of a section where you are giving the overall idea how the product that got developed and what is the approach with that, that gets manufactured, because there will be multiple approach. Each company will manufacture in different, not necessarily everybody will manufacture in one way. End product that will be same, but as a there will be multiple ways to deal with that. So what are these? So that needs to be get elaborated, and that needs to be get submitted, and that needs to be get vetted from the. And these are the as I mentioned. So since I took example of a product where these are the sterile in nature, So that is the reason the preferred choice would be always that is the terminal sterilization. So terminal sterilization versus aseptic, that kind of a consideration. So bioequivalent study, that is the multiple unit operations, how you are going to handle in bioequivalence, like it's what sort of what is the type of study which you are choosing, what are the dropouts, what is the duration. So all these will come as a part of the package. These are the certain challenges because these are the one-line sentences, but to generate the data it takes a while. Because sometimes that the study duration itself is the 1 year, 2 year. And as earlier I did mention about there are the certain resources challenges that also get reflected here because if you see the expectation from the regulatory agency that is very particular on the some of the exhibit like as a PLGA polymer or something. PLGA polymer. So like this is the classical case where I talk about the biodegradable polymer controlled release injectable drug delivery system. So by looking here itself, one can understand. See, like there are the vast expectation from the regulatory because ultimately they are also ensuring. FDA is also ensuring whatever they are giving a clearance. This is the robust and quality product because ultimately the patient compliance is the most important part. Because this is the one part. But again, if that is in the form of a lifeless product, or if that is in the form of some other product, then there has to be some diluent sameness. What is the impact of the diluent? If that is a reboot therapy, that is an admixture therapy, then proving that what sort of a stability, how they are going to be handled. So these are the certain considerations and which are pretty important. And these are the certain challenges I would say. Typically, the particle size. In case of the wherever we are talking about the product which are like the particular drug delivery system, where the to get itself is the material is the challenge, like the D50, D50, and D90. Over and above, FDA is also asking about the guidances they are asking about to meet with the span. So given Q2, it's not only one limitation, but above that there will be like the Q3. So because how do you ensure that this product is behaving in the same way what you are expecting? These are the expectations from the regulatory agencies, and that needs to be proved with the scientifically. There has to be scientific rationale for all this. So typically in vitro, in vivo release. So wherever we are talking about the in vivo, that could be animal study, that could be clinical study, human clinical study. In vitro, that is some sort of like it's a outside. These are the in vitro characterization, maybe the particle size, morphology, that sort of study. And being in the injectable drug delivery system, osmolarity that plays a major role. So, like how do you reconstruct the that is in suspension form, viscosity, because how much is the pain, what sort of a needle, what you are going to use it, porosity, the microscope. These are the something. So typically, I have captured in the slide. So this is the not something new. These are the information which are available in the public domain, or maybe in the form of the FDA expectation or FDA guidance. So the same. So this is the something like as a more in a granular level, more into the detailed manner, I would say. Because earlier, whatever I have presented, that is in a very big picture. But this is the something like as if you go in at a granular level. So what sort of work need to be, so that one can understand how much rigor, how much energy, how much detailed work needs to be done. So these are the certain challenges. As the first part, we talk about what are the opportunities as the like a huge potential, 115 billion. So it's a very big number in terms of Indian rupees. That will be somewhere around 8 lakh crore, 806 something. So that is a very big number. But like it's a kind of rigor and kind of work is also there because the opportunities are there. But at the same time, one has to be very judicious, cautious, as well as and need to be very religiously work on this aspect. They will be able to get the success typically in this area. And not to get confused or by seeing all these requirements, one should not also feel that oops, this is very tedious, very difficult. UPA is also quite encouraging the people to come and discuss with them. We can fix fix some sort of a meeting. You can do some sort of a control correspondence. So that is pretty much nowadays easy. Because in last 4-5 years or maybe 6 years, the FD also they have come up with a lot of the post Garupa and timelines, and they are also pointed with their KRA, key result area, whatever we submit to them. So within a stipulated time, within a certain time duration, they have to respond to us. Because it's not just something like they're dealing with some US government organization. No. So there is a time when the query or when this is the submitted, from that there will be a duration, and within a stipulated time, within a typically 3 months, they have to respond. It is given to do it something like it for the product, even though for the approval for the they will assign the gold date. Gold assignation that will be also there. So there are multiple approaches where the people even to go for the buy waiver. So in earlier you can submit the product there and then talk about the what are your queries. So FDA they are also happy to discuss very openly. So these are the certain requirements and how your product will behave, how it is going to be helped, and how it is identical with the R&D. So these are the certain FDA is also encouraging nowadays. So this is some sort of a brief view. I believe I could able to capture in the whatever the time duration. It's and if something is there, some questions are there, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chandrasekhar Kadam sir. It was wonderful talk, and it was really great experience for us. We learned a lot of new things, which will be definitely beneficial for us and our students. After this wonderful session, I would like to make the session open for discussion. I appeal all the participants. If you have any queries, please unmute yourself and ask.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Sir, this is Dr. Ravi Kalsait from Nagpur College of Pharmacy.
I could not able to see you. I think you are hiding. The audio is you are audible.
Yes. Actually, I am COVID positive. I am home quarantine.
Oh, is it?
Yes, and I have a fever also.
So I appreciate actually in this scenario also you are keen to understand.
Yes, sir. I am just laying on my bed and I am just listening you. My humble question is to you, sir. In this nanotechnology scenario, where the NDDS will stand?
Okay, very good question. So typically in the nanotechnology scenario where the NDDS stands, so there are two ways, if I understand your question correctly. So one aspect you are saying ki over the period of time everything will be nano. So how there will be an importance to the NDDS? Number one, which I understood, which I'm trying to elaborate. And number two, is the something like how is the correlation between these two? Is that correct? Your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as far as the nanotechnology, see the greater focus is at this moment across the global universities is given with the nanotechnology. The reason behind that, having known about what are the adverse effects into some of the critical diseases. So nanotechnology cannot be implemented in all area. There is no point. So it seems to be overdone in some of the wherever because ultimately working on is something different. But nanotechnology at this moment the greater focus into the oncology. Why? Because of the adverse effect. The kind of right now the cytotoxic drug which are either that could be doxorubicin, that could be cisplatin, or that could be carboplatin. Because carboplatin, cisplatin nowadays nobody takes, but at this moment everybody talks about the doxorubicin, that could be melphalan, that could be bendamustine, that could be
Yes,
bortezomib.
yes,
These are the stage 2, because especially into the kind of like as a mantle cell lymphoma, that
yes,
starts with the normal chemotherapy, RDAB, R-CHOP, with the rituximab, and then typically go with the cisplatin. And once that is not enough, then people go with this more potent drug like the bendamustine or typically bortezomib, doxorubicin, and it has its own limitations. So where, yes, I completely agree. So where you could go with the like in nano, that will be targeted drug delivery system. A lot of attempts has been done. Even in fact, from our student time, when I was a student, I used to read some of the literature on this typically targeted drug delivery system. But hardly, if you see the in terms of the commercialization, very few these are available in there. You can even count on your fingers also. So like as a doxorubicin in terms of that is available, or maybe in terms of antibacterial like as a this liposomal drug delivery amphotericin, which is also available.
yes,
So
yes,
it needs to be. So what is important in this case, because here what is happening more on the work has been happened because somebody put efforts, especially in the 80s or maybe 90s, and that recently the products are getting commercialized towards the up to 2000. So these are the products where the more the concept or the thought process was towards the legalization. So over the period of time, as an example, in one of the slide I did mention about the gold nanoparticle, because
yes,
that could be with the homing ligand. So that, but to do all this, it requires a lot of courage, your patience, as well as investment. So because that time duration, and therefore I would say, because once we know everything that should be in the nanotechnology form, but we cannot ignore the part what is the current need. So we need to continue on the some of the opportunities which are there as an industry, as a being as a one of the pharmacist. So where we are looking for the our patient compliance, our patient safety, and for the patient we are working this novel thought, something which is already available, and how fast we can go, because speed is very important. So something over the period of time that will come, that is something different. But at the same time, whatever is available in other form, can we generate? Can we give it? Can we leverage whatever the knowledge we have, the maximum utilization? Can we use it? So I would say it will go hand in hand. It's not something like as the once the nanotechnology comes and it will all of a sudden just it will just stop and then focus in something area. No. So it will go hand in hand, because there will be all the time, there will be room, there will be opportunity, there will be possibilities of going towards the excellence. Because first time you will do it, so that will be at a certain stage, because you are in a hurry to to reach out to the patient. The number two, that will be towards the robustness. Number three, that is to more towards the effectiveness, because there will be continuous phase of improvement. Nobody can say that there is no room for improvement. The moment if you are saying there is no room for improvement, that is finished. That is finished,
yes,
because always that is the opportunity will be there. So something is better, something is more than, and that we will be keep on finding out. So as an example, any not even pharma, anything like why the Apple they are keep on launching every day. Now they
yes,
are going to launch 12, and
yes,
people
yes,
they are running behind. Like I would like to have. So it's a continuous putting efforts on that. So that is a maximum leverage and maximum utilization of the knowledge, because something which is coming new, we don't know what are the side effects, because that we will come to know over the period of time.
yes.
So whichever is available, so that is the reason we will go hand in hand. So that is a answer. I believe, I hope I could able to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Feel free, I'm not if I have not answered. Huh?
No, no, no. Yes, sir. I get it, and I think I should percolate those things, because nowadays most of my M.Pharm students, also even some of the PhD students, they think that no, sir, I don't want to do on the NDDS or conventional drug therapy. We have to work it on the 3D printing or nanotechnology. Well, no, 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 it's not like that. You have to go and hand to hand. We will find it out some of the other ways to have that thing also. So thank you, sir, for your uh, guidance. Naturally, I will percolate it to my students also. and we will work on that thing. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for asking a question and get well soon.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir. The session was really nice. My question is, as far as so many students and the faculty are carrying out the work in development of novel drug delivery systems. So during their work, which particular regulatory perspectives should be added in their work so that the work will be more meaningful? Because they are lacking that regulatory perspective in their work.
Correct. So what happens, because there are the two ways to look at, because the duration also that plays a major role. Because sometimes if I am a PhD student, I have to complete my PhD in 3 years time, or 2 years time, or 5 years time. So that duration is also very important in terms of like when we are starting at the, even though at a industrial scale also whenever we are working, because right from the beginning, sometimes see there is the thought like is unconstrained, because innovation, everything, something will happen if it is unconstrained. If there is a constraint, then there will be like we will try to fit in that. If you tell me like I will give you this much infrastructure, I will give you this much, and now you develop, then I will try to fit in. That will be unconstrained. So yes, completely I agree what you say, like considering the regulatory, but at the same time, this is another element of it. If it is unconstrained, then like something that can be emerge out, because there is no pressure or nothing like limitations to explore any sort of a possibility of doing the lot of fermentation and combination. But I agree what you say.
Thank you, sir. My second question is, most of the companies are dealing with the generic drug development or 505(b)(2) filing, and you have mentioned regarding 505J. So can you throw some light on 505J also, sir?
So typically for the 505J, so there are ways, like see, again, it's depend upon the company, what thought process, what they are following. But I would say to sustain the most of the companies, they are now changing their thoughts and coming into the various areas. So 505J, so typically the time I would say in the 2005 when the generic has started the boom in India. So Wakat was the first company then which they filed the enalapril, that was somewhere around in the 1998 or 96. Over the period of time, Ranbaxy took all the generic and they steal the show. Okay, so all these were coming into the, they have the most of the, especially in the area of OSD, that cream has gone. Now, if you see the company, because over the period of time after maybe somewhere around 2013, FD also increased the fees, because earlier it was very easy to file a product with the regulatory agency. Because if I would have a company and I, so it's unfair to comment on someone, like it's a very small tin share companies, they also filed at that point of time product. But like as to maintain the like as a documentation, the hygiene, or the kind of expectation, data over the period of time, and because everybody is the first time it was very difficult, but over the period of time, as the knowledge has gone, so everybody started. There was a huge queue to limit that. People started these people they started with the fees, so that has came down. And nowadays also 505J, if you are in between somewhere around first 3, 4, 5, then only there is a juice. Otherwise, the product will be there, but you will not able to earn the money. So, like it is something, and with keeping that mind, the most of the company they are evaluating what is the speed of the product. So, in 505J, the most important is the like the speed, how fast you can go, how fast you can get the approval. It's not only the only filing and development. It is something like that you have to approve, and you should be in a position to commercialize that product, because you need to capitalize, you have to recover money, whatever you have invested. So at this moment, most of the Indian pharma companies, they are working on the 505J, but like it's a very selected molecule. So companies are there, they have also changed the focus, and now focus is more like to sustain the growth. Ultimately, we are also changing, isn't it? The way when I was a student in the college, and our friend Dr. Janme, he knows that time that was a different era. So, like I said, we were used to handwritten notes, everything, preserving everything. Now everything is online. Whatever the communication today we are having, that is online. So this seminar is also online. At the like the technology, that's why actually in the presentation I did mention about the back tools. So wherever you can minimize the cost of development, that much is your benefit. That much is your profit. So whoever is able to do it, they are. Otherwise, a delay, then people are dropping the project and going into some other area wherever the less competition is there. So this role of the selection, product selection, that is also becoming very, very important, because what sort of a product we have to develop. So 505G, because again, if you are talking about typically the para 3 filing, then as long as something which is a complex, that nothing wrong in going with the 505G. But like I said, what is the complexity? Either the complexity that is in terms of formulation itself, then something different. Then you can talk about the 505 V2 or maybe this ATDS. But there is a complexity in some of the cases, that is technology itself. Everybody knows this is the technology, but unable to reproduce. And if you see in one of my slides, I talk about the execution challenges, capability challenges, resource challenges, because you know what is the formulation, but some of these are the formulation where the limitation is that excipient you cannot buy because he has an exclusive tie with someone. You know the formula, you know everything, but you don't have material. What you will do? So where then that is the opportunity where someone will definitely work in the 505G. He will first of all not only this formulation, but he will target that excipient also. So along with the excipient, he will get, so definitely he will have a lot of advantage. And these are working. So people are different models. So everybody has a different thought process.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, there is one question from YouTube. Janme sir, can you take it?
Yes, sir. Any question?
Sir, one question is there from YouTube. I have posted in the chat. Just you can verify.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I see here what is the current scenario in NDDS, how with cancer therapy, as it was a hype before 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Correct? So I would say it's not the hype, but something where the focus has been given and the terminology that keep on getting changed. So either that could be people, they talk about the complex generics, complex injectable, or maybe right now I'm hitting the specialty. Okay. So over the period of time, there will be some additional things that will be keep on adding. So and to precisely answer this question of the cancer therapy, yes, there are a lot of work has been happened in terms of ATDs. If you see at this moment, I can give the number of example by these are on the tip of my tongue. So like as a bendamustine, this was the lifeless product over the one point of time. So now bendamustine, that is a popular into the market, that is with the liquid injectable. So like as this bendamustine, which is in that is unstable into the aqueous form, but ultimately you have to give it to the patient. So over the period of time, people have come with the with the polyethylene glycol or some by replacement of some of the solubility agent with the solubility, and that could able to stabilize the formulation itself. That stabilize, and these are the commercial. Interestingly, these are the commercial where the regulatory agencies or the European agencies, they have given the biowaiver approach, and companies are doing very, very well, very, very well. They are earning money like anything. So these are the something, as example, I talk about the bendamustine. I can tell some of the other example, like in terms of the doxorubicin. Many people, they have come with the the combination. So that's not easy. So, but like what is the ease to the patient? NDDS means, as I said, because it's not the only one area, only the formulation. It could be anything. It could be drug delivery system. It could be the container closure system. It the way methodology, how you are going to give it. So there are multiple products which are into the market where they, like I said, the people, they have changed the device itself. Earlier it was very difficult to, they come up with this kind of product. They, cyclosporine. Recently, one of our competitor company, they launched the product, like I said, this kind of a product by eliminating the, preservative from it. So that is the innovation into the, like I said, something different approach they have taken while they are administrating dose. So cyclosporine, as well as coming back to oncology business, oncology, that bendamustine, that is a classical example which is doing very well. And doxorubicin, which I told, that is also doing very well. And some of the people, they are working, but because see, there are something information, even though I could not talk about the, like, but there is a work. There are a lot of work that is a verge of coming to the commercialization. So, but where the attempt that is making towards the elimination of the toxic effect, the whole intent is that giving a comfort and minimizing the adverse effect, minimizing the, reducing the pain to the patient, and going into the, like, the giving to the patient. So apart from the cancer, like as a NDDS, you might be, most of the people, they might be knowing, there is a company, because this is a very old story. 2008, 2009, earlier the diclofenac that used to come into the PEG form. So it was very painful. So over the period of time, people came with the painless injection. Because for us, like as a aged people, we also scared to take injection, painful, as long as that is. But if that is not painful, everybody will be happy, isn't it? Even though, like, it's not only about the cancer, but the limitation, the kind of a person that will goes with the cancer, there will be certain side effects to arresting that. So adjuvant therapy. So that is nothing but the part of the NDDS. That is also successfully people have done. So many of the side effects that could able to reduce. I would say, so I'm not in agreement, like it's a hype, it's a continuous journey. It will take some time, because see, what I said, that you need a patience, you need some sort of investment, all these I mentioned, because again, there are a lot of data generation, hardware, everything that will come. And that fruits you will see over the period of time. It's not something like within 5 years. Otherwise, it will be like as a new drug development, to wait for 20 years and then say, oops, this is not going to work. But it is something like the success rate, you can anticipate. What is the success rate? Because you know it is going to be success, because something is already there. Already information is there. So life is easy, incremental, but like it is some attempts we are making. I think that is the only question, or anything else?
Sir,
I don't know whether I answered to that question or not.
Sir, I have one more question. It is pertaining to excipients particularly. We are talking more about NDDS, and my interest is excipient development. So, which particular regulatory perspectives we have to look for development of a new excipient?
Sorry, I missed your question.
Yeah, sir. Whenever we are working with excipients, particularly, which are the particular regulatory perspectives we have to look for whenever we are dealing with development of a new excipient?
So it's a very broad question. So I would say, in which area? So excipient, it's a very broad term, like it's something kind of how we should nurture a child. So it's a very big subject. So whether again we need to bifurcate it, that is in which area. If that excipient is typically into the area of liposomal, then lipid, these are the important. So what we need to look, if that is in the micellar drug delivery, again that is a surfactant that will be important. If that is something in terms of a non-aqueous injectable drug delivery, then what sort of solvents which are required. If that is going, so these are the things. But in short, to keep that short, what are the apart from the, what are the toxicity level, what is the usage? Because if you are going to replace with some kind of a sesame oil or any oil product, if you are making it, how safe that is for the administration? What is going to be impacted on the, like its viability or on the release profile? If you are talking about the something controlled release injectable drug delivery, so how that is going to be? What is there going to be increase into the like impurity levels because of this excipient? Because, and another thing is that like the excipient in sometimes they play the role of catalyst, and sometimes like the excipient itself in the technology that will get removed and that will be thrown out. That is only like some of the which I explained, the one of the example of depot injection where the some of the excipient that will be get, that is called as the excipient, but that will be there. So there will be residual levels. So mainly in a nutshell, how safe, first of all, how safe these are. So what sort of a toxicity data we have. And if we know if this is the something which could potentially increase the impurity, because you will work on the excipient, but not necessarily you, and anybody will not know for what purpose they will use it. Because whether they will use it for injectable, whether they will use it for the OSD, whether they use for the nasal, whether they will use it for the nebulization, their impact is on that. Because some of the excipient which are safe in oral drug, but probably they may not for the injectable. Probably injectable whatever they are, but they may not with the other route of administration. As just like as I said, gold nanoparticle. If you gold in the blood carrier, if the particle size is, then it will act on the typically on the liver or the in the treatment of the liver cancer, or maybe in terms of the like as a colon cancer. Correct? It will act on that. But if that gold itself is swollen, then it's a different, because it depends upon the what is the particle size. The other elements are also important. So these are the, but in short, like as a the safety is the first. Safety is the primary. Because excipient, no expectation is for the like as a for the like as its efficacy or anything, but safety and its compatibility. If it is compatible in the most of the aspect, and it's a residual level, and the is like as a for the storage. If you have an excipient which is going to be stored at a -20, what we are going to do? Everybody cannot have that facility. Correct? Because how many people will have that for the excipient for the -20? It was an alarm bell or what?
No, no.
I thought it's something like it is becoming lengthy.
No.
So any queries? Sir, session you did.
Anything else? We are not able to hear. I think he is talking.
So session was really good, very informative to all of us.
Thank you.
We will surely be in touch with you for our so many queries which are associated with regulatory perspectives as far as NDDS or excipients are concerned.
Sure, absolutely. I will be happy to be, answer the queries if I can.
Dear participants, feedback link is provided to you all. You are requested to submit it, and there is special information for all the participants that as a part of the series of webinar, tomorrow we have two more sessions. Dr. Sanjeev Asagekar, Vice President, Corporate Quality Assurance, Cipla Limited, from 11 to 12:30, and another Dr. Jayant Khandare, CSO, Actorius Innovation and Research Private Limited, Pune, from 12:30 to 2 p.m. Thanks one and all.
Thank you. Should we leave this now?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks all.